3 weeks back, my relatives attempted to trap me as though I were a walking cash machine. Right now my phone shows over 300 missed calls. My father has recorded 47 voice messages full of actual sobs, and my sister Lily's wedding location has been abruptly dropped. They've discovered exactly what steps I took. Truthfully, I've anticipated this day for a long time. Allow me to explain the background, because grasping this household dynamic is essential to seeing why I feel zero remorse. I'm currently 31, while Lily is 28. From childhood onward, the household equation was straightforward. Lily was treated as royalty, and my role was simply to support her comfort. Growing up, my parents, Victor and Margaret, repeatedly drilled into me that males must labor intensely whereas females deserve shielding. Lily received ballet classes, exclusive coaching, and her own vehicle at 16. Meanwhile, I started working at 14, and they informed me that my education savings had been redirected to cover her orthodontic work and vacation programs. For 20 straight years, virtually every family event featured my mother questioning when I would finally act like a proper sibling. Right, so this is that household. The type where one child enjoys a fairy tale existence and the other is handed life lessons. And it's fascinating how they packaged obvious preference under phony enlightened wording. Females require safeguarding. Nope, you simply chose a preferred child and crafted a justification. And my education savings funded her braces. Really, those aren't equivalent expenses at all. It's comparable to declaring, sorry, no future investment for you. Your sister required better aligned teeth for social media photos. The key point is this: 5 years earlier, I quit being the doormat they molded. I relocated across 3 state lines, established a solid profession, and built savings diligently because I sensed this confrontation approaching. I understood they would one day demand something substantial enough for me to reveal precisely the individual they had shaped. People often miss this about the reserved types who depart. They aren't fleeing. They're conditioning themselves. They're preparing. This individual has been conducting monetary training for years, awaiting their misstep. Relocating 3 states distant, in family conflict language, is essentially entering a protection program. Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' residence, around 40 family members crammed inside. I drove 8 hours after my mother spent months emotionally pressuring me with claims that grandma's remaining celebrations might be few. I should have sensed trouble when Lily arrived sporting a genuine crown, and numerous relatives shot odd glances my way during the starters. A real crown. During Thanksgiving, a gathering centered on turkey and political arguments. She appeared as though attending a royalty ceremony for lead roles, and 40 family members staring strangely. That isn't a holiday meal. That's a coordinated setup with side dishes. He entered an interception, and the sole hint was his grown sister donning royal headgear. Midway through the meal, my mother Margaret rose and tapped her glass. She delivered a talk on familial duties and our good fortune in having one another. Next, she produced paperwork and pushed it toward me across the table. It was a formal agreement, properly notarized, declaring I would cover $85,000 toward Lily's marriage to her partner across the coming 18 months. I scanned the room, 40 pairs of eyes fixed on me. My father Victor rose and declared that everyone present concurred I was obligated to Lily due to all their hardships in raising me. My uncle Marcus had placed himself close to the entrance, acting like a guard. Everyone needs to grasp the boldness of this entire setup. They had the paperwork officially witnessed and stamped. They apparently conducted a prior family conference where 40 mature individuals supposedly consented. Yes, let's pressure your son during Thanksgiving, perfectly ordinary. And Uncle Marcus positioned near the exit like the antagonist in a robbery film, with our protagonist as the target. They genuinely implied you stay put until you commit to handing over $85,000. This isn't kinship. This is a racket featuring dessert. Then Lily grinned and informed me she had already reserved the location using my credit card, since Mom supplied her with my details months prior. She carried out credit card misuse right there at Thanksgiving before 40 observers, and beamed as though mentioning she reserved my spot. The arrogance, the total certainty it would succeed since it always had. She essentially declared, "I've already taken from you, so just go along with it." As though that's bargaining strategy instead of criminal conduct. I have to pause here since the following events deserve separate space. But here's the core. I uttered one single line, and my mother's expression drained of color instantly. The atmosphere shifted from self-satisfied to chaotic within moments. That occurred 3 weeks earlier. My actions following my exit from that residence have now completely derailed my sister's marriage arrangements and placed my parents in circumstances they never anticipated. Update 1. Fine. The reactions to my previous post were intense, and several of you came quite close to guessing correctly. Let me detail that one remark and the aftermath. Picture the scene. 40 relatives gazing at me, my uncle stationed by the exit like escape is imminent, and Lily in her crown announcing she secured a $40,000 location payment on my card. My mother Margaret is beaming as if she hit the jackpot. The line I delivered was this. I informed them I had deactivated that credit card 2 years prior, right after Mom attempted to attach herself as an approved user without permission. Wow. 2 full years. This guy was strategizing long-term while they played checkers. His mother attempted unauthorized access 2 years earlier, yet rather than challenge her directly, he documented it, activated notifications, and bided his time. That's not resentment. That's strategic patience. He permitted their overconfidence to build for 24 months, aware they would eventually exceed limits. This mirrors financially. I'm not the captive here, you are. Understand that my wonderful relatives were unaware I had anticipated precisely this maneuver. 2 years ago, an alert notified me of an account change attempt. I contacted the issuer, learned Mom had acquired sufficient details to try registering herself. I blocked it right away, issued replacement cards, and enabled fraud monitoring across accounts. I avoided confronting her intentionally, curious about their next move. Thus, when Lily declared she reserved the location via my card, the transaction failed entirely. The location had contacted her repeatedly for weeks regarding the unpaid amount, yet she disregarded them, convinced I'd settle it during Thanksgiving. This is poetic. Lily avoided those venue calls like avoiding an unwanted caller. She'd see the venue name appear a dozen times and think, he'll sort it at the meal. The presumption needed to reserve a $40,000 payment on another's card without confirming success. Her belief in her royal position was so absolute, she skipped basic verification of the offense. That's beyond unrealistic. It's remarkable entitlement. The quiet that fell over the table was profound. Then my father Victor began shouting that I was undermining my sister's joy, claiming I'd forever envied her. Lily burst into tears and yelled that I'd spoiled it all, noting her partner Ethan's relatives had distributed save-the-dates already. My mother repeated endlessly that relatives support relatives, and I was disrespecting their sacrifices. I challenged them to name one genuine thing they'd done for me. My father claimed they provided shelter for 18 years, treating it as generosity. I brought up my vanished education savings. He insisted Lily required it more since females face tougher challenges. Providing shelter is the bare legal obligation of parenthood. That's not generosity, it's avoiding legal trouble. No bonus points for the minimum of not deserting your child. And Victor seriously claiming Lily needed my education savings because females endure more hardship, while his daughter sits crowned, insisting on $85,000 for an event. What hardship exactly? The burden of the headpiece? My uncle Marcus declared I should feel disgrace. I warned him to step aside from the door or face police for illegal restraint. He complied. I departed. A tower journey home with constant phone notifications. But this is where matters worsen, explaining this follow-up. Uncle Marcus imagined himself as protection for the family scheme and backed down instantly at the mention of law enforcement. That's typical of supporters, courageous only when victory seems assured. Introduce real repercussions and interest in interference vanishes quickly. 2 days post-Thanksgiving, Lily's partner Ethan appeared at my residence. He'd traveled 6 hours. He sought a direct discussion about how I might still resolve matters and preserve his bond with Lily, since she threatened to end things unless the ceremony remained flawless. What Ethan revealed during our discussion altered my entire perception of events. And that's precisely why my parents now face major consequences. Update 2. Alright, Ethan's arrival at my place caught me off guard. Yet the revelations from our talk, that's what showed me my parents' actions were far darker than imagined. Ethan remained in my living area for 2 hours. He began with attempts to shame me, describing Lily's nightly tears and how this period should have been their peak joy. I allowed him space. Then I posed one direct query. What precisely did my parents convey to his relatives regarding wedding payments? Ethan explained that my parents met his parents in September. They claimed I possessed an inheritance account from my grandparents, received at age 25, and had pledged to fund Lily's complete ceremony as my contribution. His parents scaled back their support accordingly. They handled only the pre-wedding meal and trip, trusting I covered the $85,000. No such inheritance exists. My grandparents directed assets solely to my parents. I received zero. They fabricated an inheritance entirely. They met another household, maintained eye contact, and constructed a non-existent legacy. This transcends wedding issues now. This is outright deception. They invented a make-believe version of their son, wealthy and eager to fund his sister, then marketed that figure to Ethan's relatives as factual. They're essentially thieves of persona, but the stolen identity was benevolent, wealthy sibling. The ingenuity in such wrongdoing is nearly admirable. Thus, my parents blatantly misled another household to secure the wedding commitment, planning to leverage the Thanksgiving trap to compel my payment. They engineered circumstances where Ethan's relatives would appear poor if withdrawing, and I'd seem heartless if refusing. I displayed Ethan the prepared notarized agreement from my mother. I clarified the credit card details. I described my redirected education savings. His expression transformed fully during my explanation. He knew nothing of this. Lily had consistently portrayed me as problematic, the one who deserted the family, who declined all assistance. You recognize instantly when someone's reality crumbles live. Ethan entered prepared to protect his future wife and exited understanding. He'd been involved with deception wearing a crown. The problematic one who deserted the family. Yes, he deserted them the way a lifeboat leaves a doomed vessel. Now Ethan recalculates every tale Lily shared. Every "my brother is selfish" now carries doubt. Once Ethan departed, I resolved not to permit my parents to dictate the story further. I obtained my cousin Hannah's contact from my device. She attended that Thanksgiving meal, remaining quietly uneasy throughout. I inquired whether she could provide Ethan's mother's details. Hannah questioned the purpose. I explained I desired a candid discussion concerning my parents' assurances to them. Hannah forwarded the contact that evening. My outreach to Ethan's mother positioned my parents in unforeseen difficulty. And that's when Victor and Margaret understood escape through excuses was impossible. Final update, this concludes it. And yes, the outcome matches your expectations for satisfaction. I contacted Ethan's mother via Facebook, presented myself as Lily's sibling, and requested a call regarding wedding expenses. She accepted promptly, already puzzled by the venue's insistence on fresh payment. Our discussion ran 1 hour and 40 minutes. I shared the full account. The invented inheritance narrative, the Thanksgiving setup, the formal agreement, how my parents schemed for months while deceiving both sides. I forwarded agreement images. I mentioned my education savings diverted to Lily. I clarified I never consented to any payment. 1 hour, 40 minutes. That's beyond conversation. It's an exposé. Sufficient duration for Ethan's mom to experience grief stages multiple times. She accepted quickly because suspicion already existed. Venue inquiries arrived and figures failed to align. He needed no persuasion that issues existed. He simply clarified them. Reality waited patiently for acknowledgement. She stayed silent a while. Then she disclosed something making every moment worthwhile. Her household had transferred $15,000 straight to my parents. As Victor asserted assistance was required for initial expenses, I'd repay afterward. My parents accepted funds from Ethan's family relying on commitments I never offered. $15,000, real money. They extracted cash from Ethan's relatives, using their son as security for debt he never approved. Family conflict ended long before this revelation. This qualifies as financial crime themed around matrimony. Victor and Margaret constructed a full scheme. They receive payment, Lily obtains celebration, their son bears perpetual obligation, and assumed universal acceptance. They mishandled $15,000 belonging to others in a plan reliant on boldness and an inactive card. Ethan's mother challenged my parents that evening. She included her spouse. They sought explanations on the inheritance, the $15,000, the months of falsehoods. My parents attempted deflection, insisting I reneged on agreements, but Ethan's mother possessed our discussion captures. She held agreement images confirming premeditated pressure. Ethan terminated the engagement 3 days afterward, not at my urging, but because he recognized the household he'd nearly joined. Lily assigned fault everywhere except herself. My parents accused me of ruining their daughter's future. Ethan embraced clarity and prioritized himself. This isn't a sibling wrecking a ceremony. It's a sibling supplying Ethan facts for independent choice. And Ethan concluded he refused marriage into a household, treating one child as finance source and practicing deceit as tradition. Lily will recount this tale lifelong as the injured party, yet Ethan holds captures. Ethan holds proof, tangibly. He possesses documentation of the $15,000 taken via her parents using his brother's identity. The 47 voice messages from my father, roughly half consist of weeping over my supposed public shaming. The remainder contain warnings of consequences unless I repair matters. My mother's communications center on my debt to them for upbringing and my ingratitude. I've ignored every message. Alternating sobs and intimidation within voicemails signals unstable conduct. Choose consistency, Victor. Devastated parent or commanding figure can't flip-flop like erratic audio. And Margaret persists with "you owe us" for parenting. As though they didn't divert his education savings, attempt card theft, and exploit his name for $15,000 from others. The nerve to maintain victim status amid their scheme's ruins. Accountability eludes them even if gift-wrapped. My Uncle Marcus sent a genuine apology via message last week. Claimed ignorance of the inheritance fabrication and card issue. I acknowledged appreciation, but declined further connection with that branch. Ethan's parents contemplate reclaiming their $15,000. My parents lacked the funds. They allocated it toward payments for a ceremony now non-existent. They invested pilfered money into elements of a larger theft, and the structure imploded, leaving them empty-handed. No ceremony, no commitment, no $15,000, and their son now lives the existence intended all along. 3 states removed from the chaos. For 2 decades, they positioned me as Lily's supporter. They redirected my education savings, attempted credit theft, deceived another household using my identity. When I declined participation, they portrayed me as villain. They desired an automatic dispenser. Instead, I revealed their true nature to all. Zero remorse. This results from underestimating the reserved individual who departed. 2 decades casting someone as secondary in his sister's narrative, assuming compliance. During Thanksgiving, before 40 witnesses, with official paperwork. Such households truly cannot fathom their target possessing resolve, having conditioned against it for years. They interpreted the A-Tower trip as proof of lingering influence when it represented evidence gathering. What strikes me most, this wasn't vengeance, it was honesty. He inflicted nothing upon them. He disclosed facts to the household they deceived. That's all. The illusion crumbled once reality received voice. The parents dismantled their own plans the instant they constructed marriage expectations upon deceit, falsehoods, and belief the mistreated son would finance it. Conclusion: clearly not the asshole. This individual is iconic. He deactivated his credit card 2 years pre-setup, anticipating his mother's attempt to access funds. He invested 5 years crafting independence while they invested 5 years crafting deceit. When opportunity arrived, he avoided shouting, conflict, drama. He spoke one line and permitted consequences to unfold. The ceremony failed not due to him. It failed because matrimony cannot rest on deception without detection eventually. Lily requires fresh location, fresh partner, and roughly 15 years of counseling to grasp her non-victim status. And Victor and Margaret. They'll soon discover that treating your son as cash source for 20 years means he eventually alters access. No adjustments needed, pure drama. To all silent scapegoats out there saving quietly, preparing patiently, your turn approaches. Maintain those security notifications active.